Yes, start recording.
Now arrives the hour of action.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it.
For depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury.
To subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws.
All experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed.
But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security.
We mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.
And we're going to take our country back from these people.
We will take back our constitutional God-given rights. You damn right. You damn right.
Now arrives the hour of...
You damn right. You damn right. States are profiting off the destruction of our families. What do we want? Justice! States are profiting off the destruction of our families. You damn right. States are profiting off the destruction of our families. What do we want? Justice! States are profiting off the destruction of our families.
And we're going to take our country back from these people.
You damn right. You damn right.
Now arrives the hour of action.
Hey, welcome everybody to the 8 p.m. edition of the first annual in Clarkesville, Georgia, Remembrance of Nancy Scheafer event show, live at tonight, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central. So we have Billy Elson with us through Skype. Usually we use Zoom, but as you know, the audio, and Mark Young can attest to this, being a musician himself, the audio isn't that great through Zoom. So we're Skyping this audio in. How are you, Billy?
I'm doing good. We're writing Zoom about that. Ted and we've got something going with Zoom. We're going to make sure they get it right because they need to accommodate us because this movement is getting too awesome for the technology and we need to make it happen.
Yes, I agree. It is getting too awesome.
Good to be here with you.
It's really good to have you. I'm really excited about this, and we're broadcasting through the event page. So the actual Facebook event, we're broadcasting to that. And so I just finished sharing it to my profile, to the Marches page, the group, and other groups. So I'm hoping people will catch on to this. It's a little bit of a test because I've only broadcast in an event a few times. And I'm really hoping that I think everybody who clicked interested or going on the event will see this, and we'll start seeing some people pop up here. So if you guys are watching already, please share this as much as possible, because I don't know everybody. Billy doesn't know everybody. Ed is on Zoom. Billy is on Skype. Ed doesn't know everybody, but just share this like crazy, so we make sure everybody sees it, and when they see this, they'll also see the event. And
Right.
I'm so excited for this event. It's come together way beyond what I thought it would, and with the help of Francesca's group, Punish for Protecting, I've connected with people like Billy here, who is just an incredible talent, and I feel blessed to be able to share his talent with you tonight, Friday night.
Yes, absolutely. We're going to get this Friday started right, too. Yeah, it's good to be here, Ted, and I am just as excited about that event. As you know, we've talked about it at length here, and, so many things that, I believe that God has ordained and put together and really established using the people that he really has in play right now. And it's just great to be, kind of, in the wings over here and talking to different people and knowing that, I can be a small part of it, and if I just, come and I offer my talent, my time, and, like the feed said there, our lives, what is it? Our fortunes and our sacred honor, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what it's about. Everybody just giving what they can to this, and really just creating as much awareness so we can create some change here.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because we all do as much as we can, and at the same time, everybody understands that most of us have been financially destroyed by the family law industry. I call it an industry because it's a business. It's no longer the practice of law, it's the business of law. And, for me to put this together and even get to the event has cost me resources that, certain things I thought I'd have for the rest of my life, like my trailer. But I can't just stop because I don't have enough money to fund doing something. I need this to end for my son. I need to know before I die that my son can't worry about this. Or I want to make sure he doesn't have to worry about this. This shouldn't be a thought in anybody's mind that you could lose your children, or even lose access to your child through a simple divorce. And it's all based on profits that are bad emoluments, and it says right in the Constitution, a bad emolument is unconstitutional. It violates our law. And it's going to end, but through events like this, where we're reaching more people. There hasn't been a major event in the South for as long as I've been involved in this community. So we'll be able to meet new people, some of which who have never been to an event, and get the attention of people who were involved with Nancy Scheafer, her friends, her family, her colleagues. And when she was alive, we were much further ahead. And these people who knew her saw her doing this amazing work and must have thought at the time, things are going to change. She's making a difference. And all of a sudden she was taken from us. And all we can do at this point is celebrate her life in a way to garner further support from that area. It's possible that Georgia, with help from the family and former friends and colleagues, Georgia might be the spearhead in this movement to help.
Wouldn't it be wonderful?
It would be wonderful. I can only hope. So I'm trying everything I can think of, and this seemed just to be natural to have an event where Nancy Scheafer lived.
Well, I think it's amazing. I think it's totally appropriate to do this. Of course, within the bounds of decency, we want to respect the family, as you have you really just moved out in front to say, look, first and foremost, we want to be respecting the family. But we want to do more than just show up. We want to do, as you say, we want to celebrate. We want to celebrate the life of Nancy Scheafer. I think if we do that, I think that's a win. That's a win for this movement. That's a win for every family.
Yep.
And, again, listening to your feed, which is pretty awesome. what do we have in this country? It's very simple. After decades long of this problem, and that's what it is, it's a problem, which means it has a solution. We have absolute despotism. That's what we have. Okay, if we know that, we have an obligation, we have a duty in this country to do the things like you're doing, Ted, like Fran is doing. And we need to speak up, we need to speak out, we need to light it up like Nancy did, and we need to do that as often as we can. We need to be telling the truth. We need to be out there telling the truth. And to take a line from Ronald Reagan, we need to speak the truth, and we need to speak it often. That's all we need to do.
Exactly. Exactly.
Regardless of the gag orders and the fear and everything else, at the end of the day, all we need to do is tell the truth. We don't need to insult people. We don't need to attack people. We just need to tell the truth.
Yep. Beautifully said. Yeah, it really is. We're speaking what has happened to us. We're not embellishing. We're not being sarcastic. Some of our lives have been completely destroyed. Some more than others. You know, children ripped apart from both mother and father. Like Nancy said, it's some of the most horrific stories you can ever hear. And I believe that once people understand, non-victims like Nancy Scheafer understand, things will start to move forward. But we need people like Nancy. We have a couple of non-victim advocates like John Gentry, Jennifer Wynn. There's a handful of them.
And God bless them. God bless them.
Yeah.
That's hope. It really is hope. It's, you know, hey, it's not happening to me right now, but it's happening to my neighbors. It's happening to my friends and my families.
Right.
And it's unacceptable. We will not tolerate.
Right.
And that's what we need. We need that outrage there. We definitely need that outrage, and we need that activism. We need people getting involved. But it's just, you know, I've never once, I don't know, maybe I'm not looking hard enough. I don't hear you, Ted. I don't hear you saying, you know, these you know, fill in the blanks and you know, expletives, and you know, I hear you, you know, let us reason. Let's reason. This is, you know, I don't want this for my son. I don't want this for America. That is not unreasonable. We're pretty reasonable people. We won't tolerate slavery.
Right.
We're not going to tolerate child trafficking. It's pretty reasonable.
Right.
And again, I think that, you know, the fact that we have the Buchanan bill now and the families first. The families first.
Act,
is that what it is? Right? Am I
Fam
saying that right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think
First
that's
Act.
indicative of the fact that there has been a problem. This has been a problem for decades.
Right.
And we're not asking, you know, we need more though. Yes, it's great. It's somewhat of a victory, but we don't want to be complacent, and we don't want to take that as, you know, you know, okay, we've arrived somewhere. No, we're just starting. That's an origin.
Yep.
That is not our destination. We won't stop until we've hit the goal, and that is that this child sex trafficking it's not allowed.
Right.
Our government will understand that the voice of the people has prevailed, and it will end.
Yes, and I'm glad you brought that up, because Nancy's journey in family law reform, she mentions family court, which is, let's say, the lesser of the evils, but her direction took her on the path of, like you said, child trafficking, human trafficking, and that's where a lot of the conspiracies about her death start coming into play. Something to do with the child trafficking maybe had something to do with her death, but that's not what we're there to think about. This event is to celebrate her life. But the whole aspect of family law, you have child trafficking way up here, which that was the road Nancy was going. We have CPS right in the center, and then the family courts, their jurisdiction over divorces to create non-custodial parents is at the lower level of that. And once we all understand that this family law encompasses all of this, and we're all working together, the further ahead we're going to be. And if you're somebody who thinks, well, no, family court isn't like Child Protective Services, well, think of it this way. Think of me as a non-victim advocate then, because I can see the problem. I understand the problem better than a non-victim advocate because I'm a victim. You know, my life was destroyed by the family courts simply through a divorce. And what I notice is CPS is at the center of this. If you can take kids from both mother and father, it is much simpler to take them from one. And we know that what CPS does to remove children is first go after the mother, because it's much easier to remove the father than it is the mother. So if you can terminate the mother's rights, you've got it made. You've got a for-profit foster child. You just need another hop, skip, and a jump, and the father's gone too. So we want to make sure that this cannot happen. Children have a fundamental right to both parents above the state. Parents come first. The state can only get involved if the parents are either abusive or dead. And even then, that child needs to go to extended family immediately. And if CPS didn't exist, the police would be able, just like Nancy said, the police are way, way capable of taking a child from an abusive situation and putting that child with extended family. That's all we need. It's really as simple as that.
Yeah, if you know, there ain't no money in doing it right, you know, and that's really what, you know, a lot of these short, nearsighted people who are creating this autocracy, really, that's the mentality. That's what they subscribe to. And it really, it couldn't be further from the truth. If we would adopt a new system, which is, you know what, when you get a degree or a license, it is not going to be legalized that you are able to abuse families. You are not going to be the oligarchies of this society and, you know, sell us all out. And it's just not going to happen because we have the Constitution, because we have free will to start with. I mean, we have love for each other. And if we would just all come together and say, enough is enough, we're not going to be divided. We're not going to say, well, it's not happening to me, it's happening to the other guy. But if we would understand what you just said, Ted, that it's all encompassing, the family court system is really, it's got this whole thing. It's got its arms around this whole thing. And if we don't loosen that kung fu grip somehow and get it off there, and the only way we can do that is if we all come together, we unite, and we just say enough is enough, and we have a declaration. We literally need a declaration at this point. It's unacceptable what they're doing. I mean, dogs know it. We need a declaration now, so we can just say this is it. And I know that you know some people far more articulate than myself, far more versed in this than myself. I woke up 2 months ago. Okay, I didn't know about any of this stuff. Who are really on those front lines, and they're out there and they're getting things done, and that is encouraging.
There's a lot going on. I mean, people I've never heard of to like Chris Hallett, who's on the forefront. You know, his work is mandatory reading in a number of states, and it's all based on emoluments. The fact that you know, making money off of children is a bad emolument, and it says it right in the Constitution, and he's the first one to bring this up in 200 years. We're moving forward. All we need now is more public support, and events like this, right in the same county Nancy lived, is going to be a game changer, I think. And then the goal for the Million Parrot March coming up this year is on the 4th of July. We'll be seen at that one event by more people than all the other events combined. And I'm hoping that in the months to come, we'll get support from everybody, including Restoring Freedom, the Judicial Accountability Movement, the Fathers' Rights Movement, the Women's Coalition, everybody.
We love them all, man. We love them all. Absolutely.
To an extent that we're not talking about men or women. We're talking about what we need to change. And what we need to change is good for humanity. And when we can all get on that same page, what we're doing is good for everybody, we'll succeed. So with that,
that's right.
Inspire us, my friends. I've been waiting 3 days for this, and the sound, although it's just a taste of what it's like in person. This is much better than going through Zoom, right. And I hope you all out there appreciate this. Billy is very talented, and he's one of 6 performers that will be performing at the event. Yes,
that's right, absolutely, and I can't wait to be with y'all there. I mean, it's just going to be great. We're going to have beyond the music. I mean, just to meet the people who really have pioneered, have done so much in this movement to people like Brian Kinter.
Yes,
he's going to
Brian.
be there. That's amazing to me. He's like a celebrity to me. You know what I mean? He's going to be there. That's cool.
Yep.
So it's going to be exciting, and there's a lot of different things that we're kind of carving out as we go along to include in this event. A lot of fellowship kind of driven things, a lot of team building type stuff, and we welcome all ideas. I mean, all you have to do is talk to Ted. He's a pretty reasonable guy. It's like, hey, you want to help? Okay, cool.
I'm
it's
pretty
pretty awesome
going.
that we have that.
And
those opportunities are there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will share a little bit with you, Ted. Absolutely.
What are you going to share with us? What's the name of this or the idea?
So this one right here is well, I'll leave it up to what are there some people in the chat right now?
I'm looking. Keeps freezing up. They say, you can
okay.
You guys can watch on YouTube as well. It's nice and clean. Facebook has their own little settings, and I have to keep all the settings to where Facebook likes them. Otherwise, nothing works. But
right.
Or at least on Facebook. But if you're having problems with Facebook, please check out the broadcast on
YouTube there.
On YouTube. You can also look at it on Twitter.
Awesome. So I think I've made up my mind. I was going to leave that to them, but if we're having some technical stuff, I'll just kind of simplify things here. There's a lot of drama when you get involved in a movement like this, and sometimes you help create some of that drama, and you have to own that, and you have to be responsible, and you have to say, look, I had my part in that. But at the end of the day, we're all a family. We're all a family, and we need to move forward. We need to be honest with ourselves, honest with each other. And I think if we do that, we are so far ahead of these people that want to do harm to families. That's one thing that we have, if we will embrace that as the truth and love for one another. It's not about a paycheck to us. It's not about some monetary gain. But it's tough. There are people right now, and I want to just, give a shout out to our homegirl there, Melanie.
Okay.
So Melanie Lee Herring. So she's just, she's amazing. And she's been an inspiration to me, her and Aaron. And right now she's got some stuff going on, and she was in the hospital. But I know God is going to do some awesome things, and we're really believing and praying for her right now.
Yes.
And I know that she's a friend of yours too, Ted. She talks very fondly of you. So
well, I did a small event in Tampa, and she drove all the way down from Georgia to be at this event in the middle of her moving, of all things. And yeah, she's very strong. She's one of the performers. She'll be singing 3 different songs on her own, not including.
Right, I'm actually collaborating with her.
Right. There's
right.
going to be a time where I think all of you are going to be singing together at one point, and there'll be other times where like you and Melanie will be perform. It's going to be incredible. The whole thing's just going to be the most moving family law reform event probably that I've ever been to, and I'm ecstatic. I can't wait to experience it.
Before I go into this, because I don't know what we have planned for after that, but I'm hoping Francesca Amato Banfield.
She's here with us now.
She is, okay.
So if you want to talk to her,
that is
fantastic.
Right now, or as they say, or as you and I like to say, Ted, Fantastico.
Fantastico. I do like to say that. So So, Fran, you're here with us right now. There you are. How are you?
I'm here with you right now. I'm enjoying listening, and I'm enjoying my. Wow. You know, there's a television show I saw a while back. It was called Frenemies.
Frenemies.
I'm enjoying all my frenemies. There's a lot of frenemies out there. I don't know if they're actually wannabes or what, but right now we got Ante. He's on CJ's again, talking about me. And he wastes so much time talking about me. He could actually be out there maybe taking a shower or cleaning his house. But anyway, you know, I leave these people alone. Then I've got all these people going, oh, can you get writing me privately? Because I've got nothing else to do but to get on CJ's and listen to them bash me. I mean, I feel very bad for these people. I think it's very sad that they're adult men and this is what they do with their time. But it is what it is. I've been nothing but kind to these people and I ignore them. You know, what are you going to do? It is what it is. It's a shame. And when I listen to you, Ted, and I hear you talk about how excited you are right now for the Nancy Scheafer event and all the amazing people that are coming together and going to that event and how excited they are. I marvel because, we just did that today, didn't we? Superheroes versus super zeros.
Right. Right.
They just keep letting us shine our light even brighter, don't they?
Well, to some extent, you know, at some point you just have to ignore. There's a few people who, for whatever reason, because they didn't like something I won't even get into it, but all of a sudden, all of a sudden there's a little bit of drama on my end, and I'm not paying attention to any of it. I'm not letting it touch my life. I've learned from past mistakes. I'm moving. I want to see us succeed. I want to see even those people succeed, because if I succeed, they succeed.
The movement.
Whether they can see it or not, I can see it, and that's what matters. So,
well, you know, I mean, you know, it's a shame that I even have to bring this up right now. I know that I have been very gracious to CJ. I know I've had CJ on my show. I know that I've gotten the trenches to believe in him because I do believe in what he's fighting. Today, for a quick second, I turned him on. I said, hello, whatever. He said, oh, you're such a nice person. And then he turns around and goes, I guess it triggered his PTSD. But because I've had a lot of mothers on lately who've been genuinely abused and I stand up for that, apparently now I'm a father hater. But yet the women's movement calls me a mother hater. So, you know, it is what it is. I've never seen anything quite like what I see on Facebook. This is not my only venue, as you guys know. But I guess, you know, we say we don't want to talk about it. We say we want to ignore it, but you can't keep ignoring something when it's staring you in the face all the time. And I think that we do have to have our retractions.
You know, what we can
we
do
got Billy
is,
Fisher out there making up a bunch of lies, man. I wish somebody would have given me $5,000 free job that I never showed up for, you know, and out there. And then you got Shar Angel Astro going, well, you know, I didn't like what she was doing to people. Meanwhile, she was getting babies in jeopardy. And that's the reason why I did not allow her on my platform that she forced her way onto, you know. Right. So it's time for me to start speaking up a little bit. And I'm going to have to. You know, especially when you got these people that are so not professional, okay? They're so not doing anything good for what we've been pulling together and doing, okay? I don't see them at events. I don't see them in the trenches. I don't see them bringing children home. Right. I don't see them fighting for families genuinely. I see them hopping on lives all day long, talking about people, mostly me. But and others, because they're the Facebook police, I guess. I guess they have a title, the Facebook police, you know, and they don't want to be
like I've said, is when you first came into this community, people were sharing your videos via Messenger like crazy. I hadn't seen anything like that in a long time. You brought a lot of fresh energy to this community, and that's why I've reached out to you and said exactly that. I really appreciate your energy and offered, you know, my help any way I could. And then obviously had to instantly explain away people who didn't like me, who saw me helping you. And the thing is, at that point, I'm like, okay, I know what's going to happen. Eventually, there's going to be somebody who disagrees with Francesca, and wants to beat her down as much as they can.
But do you want to know why they do that? I'm going to tell you why they do that, because I'm a truth seeker and a truth speaker.
Right. And so what I knew would happen happened, and what I think probably, and I know it's very hard for you to do, is not forget about them, but do everything you can to not pay attention to them. You don't need to bring attention to them whatsoever. I learned a lot from you know, an organization that was giving me a lot of grief. I turned around and gave grief to the head of that organization. And you know what the head of that organization did? Absolutely nothing. He never engaged me once, ever, in public. And that's exactly what I believe you should do, what I'm trying to do. And I don't know if that wisdom came from 20 years in the Navy or what, but it was very interesting to me that even though I was getting a lot of grief from everybody around him, he never once engaged. Even though I forgot about the rest of them and then focused on him, he never once engaged me, and I respect that, and I learned a lot from that. And the best advice I can give to you, Francesca, is to do that exact same thing. Don't give them anything. Treat them like they don't exist.
Right. Well, you have to laugh, because I agree. I do really agree. But you have to laugh because they can sit there and blast you and say all kinds of lies about you. But if you say one thing about them, you know, you're wrong.
Right.
Or if you
I know.
You're wrong. But how does a person go 24/7 every day and constantly talk about, like, what they assume, and you know what they say about assuming, you made an ass out of you and me.
Oh yeah.
They assume things, but in the meantime, what are they doing for I want to know where's the advocacy? That's what I want to know.
All they want is they want you to see, they want to see you crash and burn. And so every single time,
they only feel my fire more.
Every time they see that they got to you and you mention them, especially their names, then they won. Don't let them win.
Right. They complete a process. It's malicious envy. It's not benign envy. It's not, hey, Fran, you know what, Fran, you do a great job. I wish I could do that. It's, you're doing a great job.
And that doesn't mean they won. And if anything, other people need to know the truth of what the lies that they're telling. So I have to bring that stuff out.
I understand that too, but I don't think that what they have to say about you has any relevance. It doesn't carry any weight, not to me. So I don't need to listen to it. I don't feel like I need to listen to.
Well, I showed you the inside of my bank account today, did I not?
Yeah, and that's pretty incredible that you helped somebody out that much, and then they start bashing you publicly. It doesn't make sense to me, but that's why, like, I try not to ask for anything, or you know, like you did say today, I wasn't exactly sure how I was getting to this event, and you offered to help out, and I said I'll figure it out, and I figured it out, and I don't need to ask anybody for anything. I can stand proud that I did this myself, and I don't have to have this worrisome feeling like I owe somebody something. I try to make things happen on my own. It's the same reason why I went to Chicago for Mr. Jackson's court case a year and 2 months ago, or a month and a half ago. I wanted to do that because I felt it was the right thing to do. I didn't ask him to help me get there. I just made it happen. We're getting a lot of calls coming in. We have 6055 and 4990. Who are we speaking with, please?
This is Steve Avery.
Mr. Avery, it's been quite a long time. How are you?
How you doing, Ted? How are we doing?
We're doing fine. I'm doing great.
I saw that you posted
this is Slavin, dude. What are you doing?
Who is this? Oh, Slavin. We've got Slavin and Avery. Oh my God, what a show this is turning into. So hold on one second, Robert. Steve, go ahead, please.
Hey, yeah, I was listening, and I stepped back for quite a while.
Sure.
Because of some of the things that were going on, and some of those things were my fault. Others were not. And I saw a lot of bad things happening because of people's personal opinions.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that made me step back. It seems that all we do is talk about each other consistently. And instead of working on the things that we could have, it's like when we started the Million Parent March, Ted, you remember, you were there.
Mm-hmm.
I remember adding you, as admin.
Yep, that's
all right.
How I first got involved with that.
Yeah, because I needed certain types of people to work on certain different types or different aspects and be objective. That's why I chose you. That's why I chose Kyle. That's why I needed teams of people to work on this, because it was never going to work unless we had people to keep this ignorant behavior.
Exactly.
I mean, quite honestly, from what I've seen over the years, is we cannot unify until this ignorant, childish behavior. I mean, we're acting like our children.
Yeah, there's, like I said, we all have a certain amount of PTSD from what we've gone through, and I've come to accept that, I made mistakes, especially right at the very, very beginning, with my former, one of my best friends, Johnny, and he had a lot of PTSD, and he handled it in his own way, and I expressed my worry, and then I took the next step. And
I can't go on about Johnny, but
no, the next step I did was
there was a lot of alienation.
Right.
In the movement.
What I'm trying to do is say what I did wrong is I should have took a lesser step. I took a much larger step, and I regretted it, tried to apologize, and these things happen, especially on Facebook, especially with people who have been taken advantage of by family law. And all you can do is try to move forward, and if you've done something wrong, admit it, and mend that relationship. And it takes two people to do that. That relationship isn't mended, not because of my choice, but it's the same thing with you. We talked right when this first started, and at the time, I pleaded with you to let go of whatever you couldn't get out of, and I think
there were
now
some things a lot of people didn't know about, but I'm not going to get into that anymore.
I understand.
I'm done with that.
Good.
And the fact is I reinvented myself. I went and worked on my community personally around me.
That's awesome.
And built a community of 30 plus people just in my community, just through the TFRM and other groups that I'm involved in. So the people that are directly in my city, I work with very, very closely, and I help them in their court cases. I've had some real successes where fathers have gotten their kids. Mothers are working on doing such things, grandparents as well. And I've just spoken to another gentleman who has elder abuse and mental health abuse issues, which is a part of our movement.
Oh, I agree.
Because it has to do with
family
law. And the funny thing is I kind of wanted to touch on this because, I haven't been on any shows in a while. And I wanted to kind of point this out, that all of family law would help our cause. This gentleman that I was speaking to a few weeks ago, his mother died, and she was mentally ill, but she left everything She didn't leave a will. Okay.
That makes sense.
So this gentleman's brother is severely mentally ill and in a home. So the state decided that they were going to give all of her funds to the mentally ill young man. And this gentleman is an attorney and is now fighting to, you know, help his brother because the state, of course, wants control of his funds.
His assets, yeah.
If you understand.
Oh, I follow
and this
you.
gentleman's been in court and spent thousands upon thousands of dollars just to make sure his brother's safe.
Yeah, it's incredible, and we're going to have Terry LaPointe speaking to that medical kidnap, which involves both children and the elderly, and I'm really grateful for Terry to come out and speak.
Well, that's one thing. I mean, it also brings a little validity to our movement, because if we don't include all of family law,
yes,
we're not doing anything.
You're right, Steve, 100%. And that's what I say.
Because when we're speaking on elder abuse, we're not just a bunch of dads saying that we don't want to pay child support anymore.
Right.
We're showing our actual, you know, our values and our
right. And that's just it, is
our morals.
There are times where child support is very valid. If one of the parents does not want to be involved with the child, they have to help support them in a certain way. But still, the mathematics with that could be
that's the generalization. Everyone says you're in the father's rights movement, or you're a mother that just doesn't want to pay child support. You know, or your father that just doesn't want to pay child support, things like that.
That's
just the generalization that society has come up with.
Well, when you have a system that incentivizes creating non-custodial parents to pay child support, they're making money on you paying child support, and also once that money goes into the system, they don't disperse it immediately, they hold it. So any one time, and I keep saying this, at any one point, they have millions, even some states billions of dollars in the bank that they make interest off of, and that is a bad emolument. They cannot do that. That's unconstitutional. That's breaking the law, and that's what needs to change, is incentives to get child support from people just incentivizes the system to create non-custodial parents. That can't exist. And in some ways, the family court system sets the standard for parental relationships. If you can have a court system who has jurisdiction over families, well, guess what? The court system allows a private institution like CPS to have jurisdiction over families. And you can hear right in some of Randy Davis's videos where the CPS agent says, there is policy in place. Policy, not law. CPS guidance document. CPS policy. And you know what happens? The cops are like, okay, that's what I have to follow because the court told me to.
Well, what happens in my case? I was the one that called CPS to protect my children from their mother.
Yep.
Quite honestly, there's no policy for that, is there?
Well, it's CPS policy, but once you got them involved, it's their policy, their illegal law, which is guiding them. So, I really appreciate you calling in, Steve. You know, the last time you called in, I think Brian Kinter was with us, and we all know Brian. We love listening to Brian talk, and I put you on hold or on mute, and then we stopped talking for a little while, and you know, hopefully.
Well, I've kind of stayed away from everything except for what directly affects things I'm doing.
Well, that's
so
good.
I'm going to be getting a little bit further out there shortly, but I'm trying to do a lot of things here in New York.
Well, good. What do you think about I know Mr. Sinderman has been in contact with you, and we're trying to get you know, public support through a 4th of July Million Parent March. What is your stance on a 4th of July event like that?
That was actually the original date for the Million Parent March.
Yes, you are correct. You are correct. I wasn't a part of that. I didn't meet anybody until until 9/11.
Okay.
But yeah.
A lot of people don't understand when it started, but when it started, I put together, because of what Cash did in Restoring Freedom, September 1st, 2016, I started the Million Pound March. And then I pulled together a group of 200 people in the movement, of course, people that I knew at that time. And I think there was only 200 people I knew at that point. And I asked them, what should we do? And, you know, what would be a good date to do something like this? And a lot of us put together 4th of July because, of course, there is more news media there than any other event on the 4th of July. So I thought that would be a great date. A lot of people disagreed with that, and we went with other dates.
Yeah.
But originally, the 4th was our first goal.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Eric relayed to me, and I thought that was genius, because legislators aren't going to care what we're doing if their constituents aren't telling them that they care about it. So for us to go on the 4th of July in front of thousands of people, Mark Young has the permit for an area right next to Area 1. So if Trump has a military parade, they're going to go right by us. If there's a concert in Area 1, we're going to be right there. You know? Mark and I went together to get that permit in January when I was driving back from dropping my son off in Florida, and it's his name on the permit, not my name. I think
Mark Young, I've spoken to Mark several times. Mark's always a reasonable human being, other than some of the people that created chaos with the permits last time.
Yes, and that's exactly why I wanted to be right on top of this. Mark had already got his applications in for his permits, you know, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Parents' Day, and Grandparents' Day, so he was willing to go with me to make the 4th of July happen. You know, the suggestion was, let's just have your name on the permit just so everybody's cool. I think everybody, even if you like me or hate me, you know I'm not the type of person to say, well, if you come and you act up, I'm going to call the police on you. I'm not that guy.
No, I was physically threatened for the last march, so I didn't even bother.
Right, and I was very disappointed that you weren't there. You know, personally, I was hoping I could see you and shake your hand and heal any bad feelings that anybody had. And to me, that's the best way to make that healing happen, is to see each other in person. Well, I want to get to Billy's song, Steve. I'm really glad that you called. I really, really appreciate it. I think this is a huge stride in the right direction for all of us.
We all have to take a step back and think about our actions in the past.
Yes.
We all were not perfect people.
No, and we can attribute a lot of that to the PTSD we suffered by family law. And I think if we can at least, like, I could forgive my ex-wife because if the system wasn't in place to destroy one of us, then neither of us would have been destroyed. You know, it's as simple as that.
Now, that is a very simple concept, and understanding that the people that do this to us, it's not their fault. It's the court that allows it.
Yes.
We can't be angry at a person who has mental issues, because they're going to have mental issues and do whatever they're going to do.
Exactly.
If the court allows it.
Exactly. I don't know what that was. Somebody's listening on the back end. Are you still with us, Steve?
Hi, this is Joyce.
Oh, Joyce the voice. How are you, Joyce?
Joyce the voice.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm great. I'm wonderful. I just talked with my good friend Steve. Things are getting better and better every day.
Oh, good. Good. I'm very excited. And I wanted to say hi to Billy and
hi,
you.
Joyce.
And I lost your phone number because my phone was replaced this week, and I don't have half my phone numbers. So
Bummer, dude.
Anyway, we'll be messaging. So anyway, yeah, I'm so looking forward to it. I haven't been feeling well, but it doesn't stop me. I'm still going, and it is what it is, right?
Right.
I have to be there. Hell or high water. The show must go on.
Yep. I'm so glad you could finally make it. I know. Thank you, Ed, for picking up Joyce, and Ed is also picking up Billy's equipment because you're flying, Billy. So Ed's going to your place before you fly out to pick up your stuff to bring it to the event, which is just huge.
Yeah, Billy. Can you hear me, Billy?
Can you hear me? I can hear you.
Can Billy hear me?
Yes, he can hear you. Can you not hear him?
I can hear. I don't see him talking to me or hear him. Or now he's nodding. Okay. Hi, Billy.
There we go.
He can hear you just fine. This is a kind of a test because you're on Zoom and he's on Skype, so he can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Right. So, I was wondering how this would work. So he can hear you just fine. If you can't hear him, you don't hear him.
But I don't see him talking. I'm watching it on mute on YouTube.
Right.
And I don't see him talking.
You ask him a question, and then I'll tell you the answer.
Oh, so you're the relay guy.
I'll be the relay guy.
Okay, you're the relay. I understand.
A bit of a delay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's okay. I'll just be emailing Billy because I want him to accompany a couple of songs. That what I was planning, I'm not going to go into great details. It didn't seem to pan out with those other musician people. They whatever.
Choir.
So I'm. Yeah. Okay. You know, it's frustrating. So I'm going to be gathering us musical people here to work on a couple of things with me.
Awesome. Awesome.
And it'll work out fine.
Billy said that's a fantastic idia. I'm reading a sign language.
Yeah.
Something. It's going to be explosive.
So I have a couple of songs I want to do separately alone, so that could be at a different point, and then we can come together and we can do these other couple of songs at another point, and you know what songs they are.
Yep.
So.
Thank you, Joyce.
Okay.
I can't wait to see you again.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing you. But we're becoming good friends. How many times have
I know,
seen you? And
4 times in the last, as many months, I think. So.
I think, didn't we meet at the Million Parent March? We did, and then, but we really didn't get to know each other. We just brushed each other, you know. We said hi, we chatted, we had a few words, and then
March,
we moved
then
on,
Christmas
December,
suffrage.
January. Yeah.
Twice in January, and then the Christmas suffrage march in December, and then September. So, 4 times since September. Yep.
Yeah.
We're
was it
getting
twice
around.
in January? I don't even remember.
Yeah, your event January 3rd in New Haven.
Uh-huh.
And then we met in Hartford later on that month, or early February.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. 4 times.
I forgot about that, yeah, and it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop. Keep going.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you, Joyce. Robert, are you still with us? Mr. Slavin.
Please tell Billy that I'll be emailing him to watch for that.
I will. He heard you.
Or messaging him.
Thumbs up.
Yeah. Okay. Bye-bye.
You know what that one means.
Yeah, that's universal.
Can you hear me, Dad?
I can hear you, Robert. Go ahead, please.
Good. How you doing, man?
I'm great.
The man.
How's that event looking for Georgia? I mean, how's it looking? How many people? I mean, you got.
Well, I mean,
I'm excited for you. Man.
I wish you could make it, man. It would mean a lot to me if you got down there.
I wish I could. I do, because I just wish I could, man. Believe me.
Indiana. Well, it's far. I get it.
Well, it's like, look. I mean, I've been fighting these people just like everybody else. I've had to restart my life over. I didn't ever talk about it with people. I just got back into my house. Got me a house. Working on stuff, getting stuff done through what happened to me and my employer, so that's doing good.
Mm-hmm.
Since my kids has been coming and seeing me now, so that's good. So look, I just focus on my kids, and through this, me being, if I could tell anybody anything that might be watching the show, for me, if anything, it's fighting for my kids. and just being the person that I am, and just be the person that you guys are, and keep fighting for the kids, and everything will come together. It's people lose focus on who they're talking to, and come on, man. I was thinking about it while you guys were talking. It's like a joke. It's like if we took a study on reading comprehension for kids in school as we was growing up, I like to read, but I bet you half the kids in the class that wasn't very good at reading comprehension. So everybody reads people's comments on Facebook. They read them way out of context.
Yeah. The way you
so
say you're typing,
cool.
Right? The way you're saying your words as you type them, it has a different inflection than somebody who's reading them. They could be in a crappy mood and be like, just say it with a negative inflection, and even though you had the best intentions of what you wrote, you just started a fight because it's
read something a couple times. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Read it a couple times. Make sure you're getting it. Because that's what I see most of the fighting about in the movement.
Misunderstanding.
So that's all I want to say about that. Because look, we don't really even need to talk about that anymore, honestly. But that's what I see, man. I mean, people, certain words, mom, dad, that triggers everybody. So I wish people would just call people parents in this movement. I keep saying that a lot. Just call each other parents and do this for the children.
I agree with you 100%, and that's one thing where, even recently I've said things where I'm so tired of the men fighting the women in the Title 4D side, and I think that's one of the reasons why I advocate so much for the center of this CPS, is because we're talking about married couples losing their children, which to the Title 4D side is incomprehensible. Sometimes to some people.
Can I say this though, Ted?
Yes.
It's because the really hurt men, and I'll try to simplify this for everybody. Just looking at, you know me, man. I stay quiet, but I do pay attention to what's going on. And
you're right there.
It's look, the men that's truly been hurt by Title 4D and understand what it says in there. They think that the women that's been truly hurt by CPS don't understand, and the women that's been truly hurt by CPS think that the men don't understand. Mm-hmm. It's pretty much that simple. You know what I mean?
It really is, and if both sides focused on the center of this problem, that married couples are having their children taken away, and that brings you back to your child has a fundamental right, fundamental being you have a fundamental right to have an arm, you have a fundamental right to grow hair, you have a fundamental right to create children. That's how humanity exists. If we're going to continue with these people having jurisdiction over families, eventually we're going to die off. People will stop having children. I mean, that's really,
that's another thing.
That might be
It's
sound
this jurisdiction
extreme.
thing. Most of these people, Ted, look, and I don't mean to cut you off, but listen, most of these people don't understand that they don't even got judicial power to be doing what they're doing.
Right. And that's why we're here.
The people that's why we're here, man.
Yep.
And the people were afraid to say, where's your judicial power at? Who are you? What crime has been committed? What damage has been done?
Exactly. And that's key.
Who are you?
That's key. That 1974 was created. Nancy always refers to that, and then of course 1997, which was Title 4E and D emoluments, incentives. But the precursor to it was 69, and then 1970 it became law in California, which, and I agree with no-fault divorce. It's the practice. Two people going in front of a judge for doing nothing is unconstitutional. You committed no crime. You should not be in a courtroom for committing no crime, and that's that creating a solution to that, and family court in a way setting an example for all parental relationships, which through that created a private system who claims jurisdiction through their own procedures, their own made-up laws, their own made-up guidance documents, jurisdiction over your family, a private, for-profit institution, Child Protective Services. That institution couldn't have happened before no-fault divorce. We made it so people had to go before a judge for committing no crime. That opened the door to be like, guess what? These people over here now have jurisdiction over your family as well. So, and it all ties together. Everything, the whole thing, from family court to CPS to elder abuse to child and human trafficking, that's all family law. It's all the same thing. Whether you're a victim of one or the other, we should all be advocating together as one force. That's how we're going to end this. Not saying, oh, you're not a victim, you're not allowed to advocate for this. That's like saying, Nancy Scheafer, you're not a victim, you shouldn't be advocating for us. Are you out of your freaking mind? Who would ever even think that would be? You know what?
Sorry.
No. I'm not saying you. I'm saying I've had those recently.
I'm not opposed. I'm not opposed to these groups saying, okay, look, listen, ladies, I truly believe, and this is how I feel, ladies, I truly believe that CPS is taking advantage of you because I'm a man and I see the side of it. So I stand with you. So come fight with us.
Good. Yes.
Look, that's what I believe. Now, other people believe, hey, if you ain't part of my team, you ain't on the same team. That's not necessarily true, because you wouldn't have the United States Navy, the Air Force, the Marines. Right. You understand what I'm saying?
It's a very that's a very good analogy. I understand what you're saying. If the Marines and the Army and the Navy and the Air Force didn't work together and they fought each other, we'd all be dead. Could you imagine a war between the Navy and the Marines? It doesn't
can
exist.
You believe this person said this about me? Oh, let's nuke them. You know what I mean? Let's just nuke them. You know, I mean, seriously, dude. So people don't. People just need to relax a little bit, read things a couple different times.
Yes.
Start getting to the rallies if you can. I don't care if you haven't been there. I want you to come. I can't change what I said 30 seconds ago, let alone predict the future. So just come, be yourself. You know what I mean?
We're all going to slip up. And, what you're saying, I think, is no matter what your mistakes in the past, look to the future and let's make this
Remember
happen.
You said that, Ted. Remember you just said that. No matter what. Remember that.
Be you instead of who everybody. I know you will, Ted. Look, I'm proud of you, man. I'm going to tell you.
Yeah,
I'm proud of you.
We have some interesting history, you and I. So I respect you tremendously, Robert, and I appreciate you calling in. And Billy, what do you think? Are you pumped up?
I think that you read my mind, and I think that it was a brilliant introduction to the song that I'm about to share. And
I can't hear Billy neither.
Well, listen on Facebook. There is. Billy can hear you, but you can't hear him, and I'll have to look at my virtual cables. And this was kind of a test that way because Billy's on Skype.
Because I wanted to.
You're on Zoom.
So anyway, the name of the song is No Matter What. That's what it's called, No Matter What. And I was thinking, I'm going to introduce this. When I started out, I was talking about, some of these things that we necessarily fell over into tonight. And, it just happens. I mean, we have to deal with it. It's not that we don't do anything, but we have to do something, right? We have to do something, but we don't have to fight fire with fire. We have to do the opposite. Where there's hate, we have to show love. Where there's injustice, we have to bring justice. Where there's intolerance, we have to bring tolerance.
Right.
We have to, as one of the guys earlier said, we just have to realize that we're not perfect people. And like you said, Ted, we all have some leftovers here of the post-traumatic stress syndrome.
Yep.
And,
oh, yes.
We've been injured. We've been injured by a corrupt system of legalized abuse. And our champion, Nancy Scheafer, she was trying her best to save families, to get in there and stand in the gap, to intercede. And we're just going to bring honor to her name that on the 25th. We're gonna stand up. We're gonna sing our songs. We're gonna share our words. But we're gonna overcome. We're gonna overcome, and that's what it comes down to. We're gonna stand together.
Beautiful.
No matter what. No matter what.
That's the name of the song, folks. No matter what.
Now I'm going to tell you how I got this song really quick. Can you turn that off, please? Thank you. Yeah. So I was writing this song during a very difficult time in my life, which I could probably categorize many parts of my life that way, but like many people. But I don't complain about it on Facebook. I just write songs about it. So I'm really no better. But God takes all of that stuff and he makes something beautiful out of it. And it ends up being a blessing to my family, my friends, my neighbors, sometimes even my enemies. And that's great. Because my enemies can quickly become my friends. I'm fallible. I can make mistakes. It is conceptual that I will make more mistakes in my life. But, no matter what, I was sitting there writing this song. And I got the first verse out, and I was kind of stuck. And my daughter, Brookie, who was probably 7 at the time, maybe 6, she kept running up on the couch on the love seat and kissing the mirror on the wall and running back down and repeating. And it was just this beautiful loop as I was kind of doing, it was just a beautiful little ambiance in the background to see her doing that. And I was so excited about this song. I was so excited, as I'm often very excited about what God is doing, because it's not me. It's like I'm showing somebody this music, and if it's a color, they're saying, Billy, this blue is wonderful. It's amazing. And I'm trying to explain to them that I did not make blue. I want you to understand something. This is what God is doing with my pain, with my imperfection. He's doing amazing things, and it's him. He's the main character of this song. It's whatever story the song tells. So, I just was so excited, and I just started asking. I don't know why, but I just started asking Brookie. I said, I was like, wow, I just felt God's love in that moment, just writing this song. And again, it happens a lot that I feel his love, and it moves me to do something. But I said to Brookie, Brookie, I said, God loves us, right? And she was kissing the mirror and coming back down and running back and kissing the mirror, and she was going, yep. And so I said, well, what if we do something really bad? I said, what if we make him, and maybe we tell a lie or something? And she's kissing the mirror, yep. And I said, well, what if somebody robs a bank, or they steal somebody's horse or something like that? Does God still love us? And she'd jump up on the couch, kiss the mirror, yep. And she went back down. And of course, I was pop quizzing her on things that I have, I and her mother have tried to instill in her, and she just kept saying, yep. And I said, Brookie, well, what if somebody does something really bad? What if they even killed somebody? Does God love that person? And she said, no matter what. That's what she said. And it was perfect because I was stuck. And when you hear me first say no matter what in the song, you'll see that was her giving me the rest of the song and God unlocking it through my 6-year-old child who's now 9. But this is it. Without further ado, no matter what. There's a song of grace I know. There's a
unknown, feeling the fire within my soul. Since the day you found me, the light of the world was in my bones, right in the middle of a hurricane. And all I gotta do is say your name, and it's all around me, the only peace I've ever known. And I give what good I've got, and you love me when I'm not. When I reach for you, you're always there, no matter what. It's your love that's burned in me, but no help could make me be. So I run to you, I always do. No matter what the circumstances say to me, in spite of all the second chances that I need, no matter how my heart may wander, or who I fail to be, I run to your love, no matter what. On the same old dusty road, and I've been walking till I see my home. Only grace can move me to run over the fields of righteousness. 20 years out on this desert plain, and I've been waiting for the sky to rain. Let it rain down on me and water the seeds of holiness. And I give what good I've got, and you love me when I'm not. When I call on you, you hear my prayer, no matter what. It's your blood that washes me, and your word that set me free, free to worship you in spirit and truth, no matter what the circumstances say to me. In spite of all the second chances that I need, no matter how my heart may wander, or who I fail to be, I run to your love, no matter what. No matter what. No matter what you did, or where you're at, even who you are, you're just no match for His grace. No matter what. Here we come, Georgia. No matter what, we will be there. Spirit, no matter what. No matter what, right, Dad?
That's beautiful, man. I wanted to turn my mic off so there was no interruptions, and just to make sure everybody could hear it the best possible quality possible. That's incredible, Billy. You really do have some amazing talent there. I can't wait to hear you in person. I'm getting a little verklempt just through Skype So in person, and Belinda even said this. She's like, I hope I don't bawl like a little baby while I'm there. I'm like, why would you cry? She's like,
I probably will. I'll, you know, so I'll be the designated crier. Okay.
I definitely get teary-eyed with this stuff. You know, all I have to do is think about my son and wanting this to end for him, and that's I'm an emotional wreck. You know. But
from those flames, a heart will rise, Ted.
Yep.
From those flames right there, and it'll live evermore in God's glory. And I know that, and that's a little bit of Christianese, but that's the only way I really know to say it.
Right.
From these flames, a heart will rise, and I'm telling you, lives are going to be restored. Generations. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
We're not just talking about a handful of kids. We're talking about generations. And that's my declaration. I declare this generation for God's kingdom. I do. And I know it is his heart. He was the first one to be alienated. He suffered alienation. He knows what it's like to lose a child. He knows what it's like to have that child taken from him and abused. And when you hurt the child, you know, you can't hurt. If you hurt my children, you've hurt me.
Right.
And if you hurt me, you hurt my children, because I am them. They are me.
Right.
And I would even say that holds true for all of us. I mean, you can't hurt another human being without that having some impact on me at some level. Even if I'm the worst person on the planet, something is happening in that moment. So we just have to stand up. We have to speak out. We have to bring our love. We have to bring our A game, you know, and our game face that day, man, and just show up.
Right. Have heart in what you're speaking about. You know, you don't need to convince yourself of what happened to you. All you need to do if you're speaking or performing is say that in the most or convey that in such a manner, in a truthful manner, and people will understand that. You know, and it's on each individual person we reach out to, whether they care and accept us and want to help us. But all we can do is, like you said right then and earlier, speak the truth, speak it with the passion that you know you have for your own children, and we'll win this, because this is good for humanity.
Absolutely. And you just kind of said something that really resonated with me. You know, you get used to speaking to people maybe in your, you know, just day to day, who really have no idea what's going on. That's not what the Georgia event is about.
Right.
The Georgia event, these are people who speak the language. They know it. They have experienced and felt the weight of this oppression. And you don't have to sell anything to the person standing next to you.
Right.
They are with you. They are with you in that fight. And, you know, we're going to be in this trench together. And I think that the 25th, let me back up. I don't think anything. I know that the 25th is a deposit being made into heaven. And I don't want to get all preachy, but what moves God is not necessarily our need. It's our faith. And you know what? When you get all these people saying, you know what, our lives and our sacred fortunes, and that's faith. They are packing up. They're heading out. They're heading down to Georgia, and they're meeting the devil right where he is. You know, just like all the songs, right? The devil went down to Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
We're doing something. We're doing something that is that prolific, that profound, that epic. That's our word for this week, right?
Epic it is. Bro? That is our word for this week. And I think through Nancy Scheafer and now her family, who we have their blessing, and hopefully their help, through this, who knows? We can't tell the future, but I'm hoping maybe Georgia could be the state-setting example. You know, all we really need is one state to say, you know what? We don't need incentives to create non-custodial parents. We don't need incentives to create foster parents. What we're going to do is do it the way we did it 40 years prior, and do it the right way. Do it with humility. Do it in a way that doesn't destroy people, but helps put people back together. And I think because Nancy was so far ahead of the curve, people who are around her, her friends and colleagues, maybe we can get them to pick up right where she left off. And you never know. This could be a complete game changer. and Georgia could be the center of the end of all of this, or at least we'll get some amazing support from some amazing people and make a lot of new friends, a lot more friends, new friends, old friends who were actually a part of this movement years ago, joining the new movement, the new community, because it really did almost end. You know, according to Nancy's son, it was a fire while his mother was still alive, and now it's like the smoldering ember. And what he told me is, with you guys coming back here, you're like reigniting that ember. And I couldn't believe that he said that. That meant that meant so much to me, that we're reigniting this movement in Georgia. It's incredible. And the song, you have a song you wrote specifically for the event called Light It Up, which I think will be performed during the Candlelight Vigil, if I'm not mistaken.
Whatever God puts on your heart, Ted, I'm good with.
Yeah, I can't wait. This is going to be incredible. You know, some of the details, you know, aren't figured out until the last second. But oh my goodness, the way things are coming together, it's hopefully going to be just as a moving experience as the Restoring Freedom 2016 march was. That march changed my life, changed a lot of people's lives, and this event in Clarkesville, Georgia, I think has the potential to do the exact same thing. And
amen. Amen.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna go a little further than that, because I am pretty dramatic, but it's only because I have a mustard seed of faith today. So I'm going to say that God is going to open that sky in Georgia, and we are going to call down reinforcements. They're on the other side waiting right now, and he's going to send down his mighty warring angels, and we're going to get some help. We're going to get some help. And I'm believing that this. See, I believe that Nancy speaks on heaven's floor right now. I believe that she's still speaking, she's still testifying. And I believe that she speaks on heaven's floor. And I believe that all we have to do is access. And once we have that access, and literally I'm saying we need to tear open a hole in that sky. And we need to do that with our faith, our collective light, our collective lives, and just put it all together. And if we are there to release that faith through whatever expression God has given us, through whatever unction he has given us, I'm telling you right now, my belief, my faith is that in heaven, Jesus and the angels, and that's just me, this is me, you guys can believe what you want, and it's cool. We're cool, all right? But I believe it moves the court in heaven, because we can't move this court down here. We can abolish it if we do things right, but we can't move them. We can't move them, but we can move the court in heaven. And I believe that when we do the event in Georgia, it is so significant that literally I believe Christ himself is going to look, and the angels are going to look and say, they're doing it. They're doing it. They are active. They're accessing. They're laying hold of heaven. They're laying hold of it. And they are not going to let go. They must really want this. They must really believe this. And it is that faith, I believe, that moves the court in heaven. And you can't tell me when all these people show up that they're not believing something, that there's something in their heart in spite of the oppression, in spite of the evil. And I'll just call it what it is. It's evil. It's satanic, what they've done to families. And it's an attack on God's perfect institution. And that is the family. That is the family. He ordained it. He created it.
And he put us here for a reason. You know, he uses the tools he has, which are us. And so if you're here, if you're fighting, if you're going to Georgia, there's a reason why you're going to Georgia. It's because your higher power, God, is using you. You are his tool to end the oppression and to create a better humanity. And Billy, I can't thank you enough for coming on and performing. That was moving. And it's just like a sample. Just a sample of what it sounds like in person. I haven't met you in person yet. I haven't been able to see you perform in person.
I'm not that impressive. I'm less impressive in person.
No, you're epic. You're epic.
We are epic. Together we are epic. We're like, you know, we are the chocolate and the peanut butter. And you know, like Francesca Amato Banfield, she's like that shiny wrapper on the outside that just completes it all.
You can't have a Reese's without a nice wrapper. And Fran's
That's right.
the nice wrapper.
I mean, come on. I'm not buying no Reese's just sitting there. Okay, it's in a little box. No. I need the R and the cursive E, you know.
Yeah.
That's what I need, you know. So there we go.
Awesome,
Ted,
bro. Thank you. I'm not sure how to end this. I don't want to go on the regular ending, so I'm trying to pick an ending. I think we'll just say goodnight. I think that's the best way to end it. Unless you want to play a little bit of piano, and then I'll do a fade.
Well, let's see here. Can't say no to Ted Fogg. I know what happens to guys like me when you say no to Ted Fogg. It's like, you know, you end up somewhere with the fishes.
Oh, Jesus. No, that's not
Fogg. That's an Italian name, right? Fogg.
Right, yes, full Italian. I'm a queen. Yeah.
Right off the boat, baby.
Yeah, right off the banana boat. So thank you all for watching. Thank you again, Billy. We're going to leave you with some beautiful piano. I love you guys.
Just believe, if we dare to dream for something more, someday we will knock down that door. It might take some time, but look into my eyes and you will see a magical view just waiting for you and me. If we just believe, if we just believe, tell me if we just believe. I couldn't resist.
Thank you. I believe in you, Billy.
If we